Hi everyone. I hope somebody can join me this morning. As you know, I haven't got that many followers. Not about quality, it's about not about quantity rather. It's more about quality. So I'm just getting rid of lipstick off my teeth. Okay, so I haven't got many followers, but this question has been asked a couple of times by a couple of my followers, either on Facebook or on here, which is when you get an eye palette, what colours do you put where? And also I've been asked a little bit about primers. So actually I put minimal eye makeup on this morning on my school run. Excuse me, I keep itching my nose, and I've only noticed that I do it a lot because I've been watching back some of my videos. Let me just push this back a little bit more so I'm a little bit more in the frame. Okay, so yeah, I get asked this a lot. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you about priming your eyelids. Now, if you're like me, or you'll get your eyes are aging a little bit. Some people are born with this kind of hooded eye. I probably have always had it a little bit. I noticed getting worse a few years ago as a response to medication, which some of my followers might be on, which is a medication. I won't go into the details of it as it's so public, but some of you would know that it's one that basically stops muscle spasticity in your legs. So it's a muscle relaxant. And I noticed that after I started on these tablets that these eyes became more hooded. I'm just trying to straighten this out so that I'm like this. So just excuse me for fiddling around a little bit while I start. Okay, so now if you that's better. So if you I've got this. The problem that you have when you put eye makeup on is that throughout the day where your eyes are hooded, they can kind of pick up eyeshadow that you've put further up, or actually eyeshadow can come off. So it's really important to prime your eyelids for this purpose. Okay, so what I tend to use, the way that you can do this is you can use either a cream eyeshadow or you can use an eyeshadow primer. Now the one that is used a lot, and it is very, very good, is I've just been distracted because one of my favourite YouTubers and Instagrammers, Pixie Woos, has started a live video. Sorry Pixie Woos, I'm doing my own. I bet you've got a few more followers than me, but never mind. Okay, right. So the one that I use is Soft Ochre by MAC. And actually this is it's actually an eyeshadow, but it's mostly used as an eye primer because if you look at it, it is a kind of skin colour. Okay, now what this does, because it's a cream, when you then put powder over the top, it's going to grab the powder and it's going to hold it on a little bit like glue. So I was mentioning this the other day to one of my followers, Lisa. So basically, if you put this on like this and you rub it in, you can put it on with your fingers. Then you've primed your eyelid with something that's going to hold the powder on, okay? But there is one thing now, if you just start applying the powder that you want, like the eyeshadow powder, on different parts of the eyelid, it's going to be very difficult to blend because you've got this cream and things are going to just grab it straight away. So what people tend to do then, which is kind of the second step of priming their eyelids, is to then put a wash of cream kind skin coloured powder over the top. Now you can do that either with your normal face powder, or you can choose one of your eyeshadows, which is what I often do. So already I'm going to bring up this palette now and I'm going to show you the palette. I wish that I'd bought something to cover up the mirror because otherwise all you see is stuff in the mirror, but never mind. So if you look here at this eyeshadow palette, Okay, now you can see there's varying shades and they're all kind of different. So if I zoom in, you can see that that one is a matte shade. It's got no shimmer on it. And then if I zoom in on, let me pick this one. No, let me pick one that is easier to see. You can see that these ones have got a bit of a shimmer. Now what we're after first of all is one to prime the eyelid. Now this one is very, very white, and actually when you swatch it, let me show you, it's kind of got a duochrome. Now when you hear people talking about a duochrome, what it means is that it's white but it picks up another colour. Now I don't know if you can see that very well, but actually it kind of picks up blue. So that is going to be too bright to kind of prime your eyelids, and it's got a bit of a sparkle running through it. But the next one to it, this one here, is perfect. So you're basically looking for a light kind of eyeshadow, obviously depending on your skin tone. You know, if you're very, very tanned or on the darker side, you might be going for something like that. But if you go for something like this, that will be really, really good for then putting some powder over this cream that we've just put on. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go in on this shade here and I'm going to put that all over the cream on. And that is basically going to stick straight to the cream, and it is going to then allow whatever you put over the top to blend nicely. Okay, so I'm going to put some of that over the other side, like so. So there you have it. Now that's quite bright, but don't worry too much, and never ever panic when you're in the middle of doing it, because you will get to points like this where you think, oh, that looks awful. There are lots of occasions where your eyeshadow is going to look a bit strange in the middle of you doing it, but run with it, because by the time you've finished and by the time you've put maybe your mascara or eyeliner on, it'll look completely different. Now all that's doing now is providing a base for a bit like a canvas, really, for you now to put whatever you want to put on. Okay, so let's go back to these colours. So we're now thinking, right, how do I basically pick my colours? I've got all these colours to pick from. And there's all sorts of things you can do. But basically what you're aiming for is something to go, let's just pick a sort of common look that is used a lot, is that people use a kind of darker shade to go into the crease of the eye, which is, if you look at yourself, you will see that naturally you have got a shadow, which is why it's called eyeshadow. You've naturally got a shadow in this area of the eye. So you basically want to enhance that shadow by making that part darker, and then this part here is lighter, so you want to enhance that lightness and then enhance that shadow. So it's basically, makeup is about enhancing what you already have. And then on the brow bone, again, this is more prominent, so that kind of sticks out and is lighter, got less shadow, so therefore you go for a lighter shade again. So basically, and also you can get away with more shimmer on your lids. So let's look now, let's try and find a kind of dark shade. Now what people talk about a lot is a transition shade. All right, so I'm not going to go too much into this because you could end up putting lots of colours on, but what a transition shade does is if you see, if I just suddenly went in, let me just pick a shade here. If I suddenly went in with something like this and put that now on here, right? Can you see that? That is just immediately going to look quite stark. So what people do is, in order to build up the intensity and make it look not quite so stark, is they'll find a lighter shade and they'll go in with that one first. And I'm kind of looking for something. So say something like this one here, right? So I'm going to go in with something like this, and I'm going to build up the intensity of my eyeshadow. So if you see now that it doesn't look quite so stark, obviously I'm going to show it you on the other eye because I've put that little bit there, which is a bit unfair, right? But you'll see the difference that I kind of mean. So here, if I just put some of that, and I'm going to put that high up, just above the crease, just to start building up the intensity that I want, okay? There you go. Now what that will do is it will give you a kind of gradual effect as you're moving in towards the crease. So now we can afford to go for a slightly darker shade. Now you can go slightly darker and then slightly darker and then slightly darker again. But if you just wanted something simple and you don't really want to spend hours doing your makeup, you can kind of build up now to something like I put on a minute ago, which is this colour here. Okay, so I'm going to put that on, and I'm going to go in with a smaller brush, because what we've done is we've put this transition shade, we've kind of covered it, but I want to build up the intensity. See, the way you build up intensity is by the colour, but also by how big or small the brush is. So the smaller the brush, the more of a shadow you're going to create, okay? So I'm going to go in with this very stark orange, and now I'm going to put that just a little bit where the shadow would naturally fall if you were looking at yourself in the mirror. And it's always a good idea to have a look at your eye in the mirror and see, just look at where the shadow naturally falls and then accentuate where that is. Okay, I'm just rubbing that through now with my fingers. You can rub it through with a brush, but I'm just showing you that. So can you see now that I'm building that up? And I'm going to do the same, obviously, on the other side. And this is a smaller brush and a more vibrant colour. Okay? Now, I still think that's quite light on me. So I'm going to build up the intensity a little bit more. And I'm going to go in with this darker shade next to it here. And again, I'm going to put that on with a smaller brush. But this time, I'm going to go in and I'm not going to do as much as I did last time. So whereas I went in there, this time I'm just going to go in there. So it kind of gives you this thing of gradually intensifying as you go into the eye, rather than it just being one block of colour. And again, the fingers are great, you know, for blending. I just think they're really, really great for blending. Okay, now again the other side, and again I'm just going to go in right at the edge there. Okay. Now you'll see that we've also got some even darker shades here. Like you often have a black in a palette, and you often have a very dark brown. Now what you can do with this, obviously, is to... I'm not going to do the liner yet. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll do that in a minute. But what you could do with that is to line your eyes and line underneath a little bit and smoke it out. But now what I want to do is look at some of these shimmery shades, because what I like to do is to put some shimmer on the lids, because that will reflect the light on your lids, which is where the light would naturally fall on your eyes. Okay, so I've got lots of shimmery shades here that I can choose, and I'm going to go, just to really demonstrate to you what it looks like, I'm going to go for this real gold here at the bottom, right? And what I'm going to do with that, and actually I haven't got all my brushes with me at the moment, but you can do this just as well with your finger, right? Is I'm going to go in with my finger, and I'm actually going to pat this onto my eyelid, right? Okay, but this is one, if you see all the shimmery ones, it's better to keep the shimmers to the lid. You don't have to, but this is just a guide. Because that will make your eyes kind of pop out, if you know what I mean, because they're on the lid. And then the other thing that you can do with the shimmery shades is that you can highlight your brow. Now this one that I talked about earlier, that was very light but a bit too shimmery and had a bit of a duotone effect, I could get away with that on my eyebrow because it looks okay. It's got a sort of a bluey, slightly bluey tone, but that's okay up there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to now pick something dark to line my lids with. And as I said, because we've got some options here, you can use the black, you could use the brown, you could even use the blue, but I'm not going to do that because the blue's quite shimmery and I don't want that on my lid at the moment, but you can do if you want shimmery eyeliner. I'm going to go for this brown. Right, now the other thing that you can do with palettes is, if you want to up the intensity even more, I'm going to show you. First of all, I'm going to put this on as a powder like this. And you know what, I don't think I bought the other thing to demonstrate, but the other way that you can up the intensity, if you want that liner to be even stronger, is that you can get one of these makeup setting sprays. MAC do a really good one called Fix Plus, and what you do is you load up your brush. I'm trying to see if I've got it around at the moment. I don't think I have. You load up your brush with the colour, and then you spray the brush with the setting spray, and what that will do is it will make the colour even more intense. And you can also do that, works really well when you're doing the shimmer shade on your eyelid, because it kind of, it's what they call foiling. It kind of makes it look more like foil than if you just put it on dry. Okay, so obviously I've done the upper eyelid, I haven't done the lower one. Now, because I've got brown eyes, I'm just going to give you some options here. You don't have to follow all these, but you know what you could do is go under with the brown. But because I've got a blue top on today, and I also have got brown eyes, and blue is a really vibrant colour in terms of contrasting with brown. It's the opposite shade on the colour wheel. So I'm going to reserve this blue here to go under my eyes, because what that will do is it will create an immediate contrast with my brown eyes, and it will just bring out the colour of my eyes. Now if you've got blue eyes, you can do the same thing with brown, and that will bring out the colour. Now you'll get a palette like this and you'll think, I've got all these browns, and then suddenly in the middle I've got a blue or a green, and you think, what can I do with that? So I'm just sort of, if you've got a palette like that, this is one way that you can do it. Or the other thing that you can do is that you can just pop a little bit just in the corner. So you're giving it a kind of a little hint of a contrasting colour, which will just make your eyes stand out. Now, if you notice, I haven't put that all the way across. Again, everybody's eye shape is different. And this is just because of years of experimenting with my eye shape. My eye shape would not look good if I put the dark all the way across. It just makes them look too small. But other people's eye shape, it may suit them. So this is where you need to start to play with eyeshadow. Now, what I do with that is, obviously you've got it there and it stops, but you kind of want to blend it into something else. So what I'd like to do is to kind of link it up with what I'm doing above, because at the moment it's very contrasting, but it'd be nice to kind of link it up. So I'm going to take a smudge brush again. I'm just going to wipe that down, and I'm going to take the shimmery shade, one of the shimmery shades, probably the one that I used as a primer actually, and I'm just going to kind of link that in like this, so it kind of merges in with the blue. Okay, now, you know, if I wanted to now, I could say, do you know what, I really want to deepen up this a little bit further, which I do. So I've gone in now with that brown shade that I used on the eyeliner, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that at the side just to deepen that up a little bit more. Okay, I'm literally playing now so that you can see what you can do. Now, some people, they fill out the whole of the crease, so they've got kind of a semi-moon effect, which you can do as well. I mean, again, experiment and see what suits you. I hope this has been helpful to you. I can't actually see if anyone's joined me. No, they haven't. But basically, I wanted to give you an idea. Now that you've got that liner on, once you put the mascara on, it all will come together. I'm just seeing if I've got my mascara on the table. No, I haven't. But trust me, it will come together. I hope that has been really helpful, but please do put any questions or comments below. The main thing to remember after all this is I've given you a guide, okay, about what colours to use where, but there are no rules in makeup. You know, some people go in and they put a dark colour on their lid and it looks beautiful, and you can do that as well. But I was just giving you a general guide because I've been asked. But, you know, there are no rules in makeup. Play around. It's a bit like, I was thinking about this yesterday when I thought I was going to do this video. And if you see children on iPads and computers, they go in and they will find out things that you just didn't know you could be done on your iPad. And that's because as a child, they will just go in and explore, and they won't be frightened about, oh, I'm going to delete something. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to put something that I really need and I won't be able to retrieve it. They just go in and explore and explore. And because of that, they find out how to do everything on the iPad. And it's a bit like that with makeup. It is kind of go in and explore, practice, you know, on your days off. Just go in when you've got a bit of a moment, think, oh, I'll try that. Oh, that didn't work. Wonder why that didn't work. Okay, and eventually you will find what suits your eye. Play with colours. And the other thing that I like to do every now and again is I like to go and try out something that I wouldn't normally put on my eyes. So a while back, you notice I did a lot of pictures of me with blue eyeshadow because I've never really used it before, and actually I was loving it once I kind of made that leap. And green eyeshadow as well, I had a phase of doing that. So try and step out of your comfort zone as well, because and see whether or not you can carry it off. And that's the beauty of makeup, is that there are endless ways and endless colours that you can kind of use and to express you. And at the end of the day, makeup is all about expressing you and your personality. And this morning I got up and I had to find, I have got loads of lipsticks, but I know what they all are. I know what colours I have, but I've got loads and loads of lipsticks. And I knew that I wanted to find this shade this morning because I was in the mood for wearing something bright pink. And I knew, girl about town, MAC, I've got to wear that one this morning. So it's also about expressing you on a particular day. So just have fun and don't get too tied up in rules. But I hope that this has been helpful to you. And as I say, if you want to ask me any more questions, please feel free. Anyway, thank you for joining me. If you're going to join me later, I haven't had anyone joining me yet. Probably not a great time in the day for people. But if you do have any questions, please comment below. Please tell your friends and please subscribe to my channel. You know, the more subscribers I get, the more views I get, all the better. I just want to be able to help as many people as I can. I'm not a makeup artist, it's just my hobby, and I just want to share tips that I've found work for me. Okay, thank you for joining me. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.